Hey everyone, we're trying to do this again. I did it yesterday. I'm in a parking spot right now. Put the parking brake up. Completely turn the car off. I'm gonna do another video of how to drive a stick shift. Try to do a little bit more detailed. I tried to do this yesterday, but it didn't work out. Long story. Okay, there's two different ways you can start this. Both of them require you to have the clutch pedal in. Before you do that, though, if you're learning how to drive a stick for the very first time, push the clutch pedal in and get used to moving this around. Get used to shifting to different gears. This is a 5-speed, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, reverse. Now, like I said, there's two different ways of starting this. If the car is in gear, clutch pedal's in, you can start it. Or if the shifter's in neutral, you still have to have the clutch pedal in to start it, because if you don't, it won't. Parking brake down. First gear. I'm on a little bit of an angle right now, so I do this anyway, but when you're taking off, shift it into first gear, gas pedal in, clutch out. Here we go. Shift into second gear, clutch pedal in, shift it into second gear, clutch pedal in, shift it into neutral. I thought I was going to have to shift into third gear. Turns out I didn't. Sorry. Clutch pedal in, shift into third, come out on a stop sign. Like I said, there's multiple different ways of stopping in a stick shift as well. The first and most common is you push the clutch pedal in, shift it into neutral, and hit the brake. You can downshift. And I'm going to try and cover that in this video as well. Or if you're in gear, you push the clutch pedal in and the brake pedal simultaneously. And as I've said in previous videos, typically, and my car's a 5-speed, but there's 3-speed, 4-speed, 5-speed, 6-speed. My car, usually it's between 0 and 10 miles an hour is first gear, 10 to 20 is second gear, 20 to 30 is third gear, 30 to 40 is fourth gear, and anything above 40 miles an hour is fifth gear. Yesterday I tried to do a very long, detailed how to drive a stick shift video and cover everything, but it was over a half hour long, and let's just say that didn't work out too well. Certain situations, I only like to downshift in certain situations. Those are like if I'm out in the country and if there's You know, I downshift on the car. I don't typically downshift in the city, which is where I'm at right now. That's why I keep hitting the brake to stop. I also don't like to downshift if there's somebody directly behind me because they don't know that I'm slowing down and they might rear end me. So situations like that as well. But, you know, just when you get more advanced into how to drive and you start getting used to driving a stick shift and you get better at it, you know, you'll have your own way of handling certain situations. Like whenever I'm on a hill, if there's, I think I've covered this before as well. What if I'm on a hill and I'm trying to take off? I know how to do it now to where I won't have to use the parking brake. But some people, if they're having to, you know, if there's somebody right behind them and they don't want to risk rolling back into them, then they'll use the parking brake to stop, and you have to simultaneously put the parking brake down, push the gas pedal in, and release the clutch, all, you know, very carefully in order to take off from said hill so you don't roll into the back of the car behind you or vehicle behind you. You know, but like I said, once you get more advanced and better at it, you may use the parking brake, you may not. I've used the parking brake in I used the parking brake one situation multiple times on this hill. I was on a really long hill and there was traffic both in front of me and behind me. So in order to not roll back into the vehicles behind me, I kept putting the parking brake up, and then when it was time to move forward, I put the parking brake down, push the gas, and release the clutch, all simultaneously. But that was the only situation I had to use it extensively. Most of the time, I've only had to use it like a few times since I learned how to drive a stick shift. And I'm about to do something, and I'll explain to you after I do it what I'm doing. I skipped third gear. I've said this before, that it was told to me that you can, if you know how to drive a stick well enough, you can skip gears. You can go from, someone told me you can go from first to third to fifth. I watched a video where a guy said he doesn't like to do first to third. He doesn't. I will never go from first to third to fifth. I don't feel the need to do that. My two ways of skipping gears are the one you just saw where I skipped third gear. I went first, second, fourth, fifth, or I've gone from first to second to third to fifth. Those are the only two ways I skip a gear. And the reason I do it, if I do it at all, is because, as I've said before, I believe that you have, if your car's a 3-speed, 4-speed, 5-speed, 6-speed, whatever your manual transmission is, there's a reason you have all those gears. It's for the same reason that only a few times in my life have I ever taken off from second gear to see if I can do it. But again, there's a reason I have a first gear. Not very often do I skip gears. Sometimes I do. It just depends on the situation. There's been times when I've been heading, the speed limit changes from like 30 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour, or even 55 maybe, and at that point I'll skip a gear so I can get going faster. What I did there is I was in second gear. I got and that's why I said, on average, it's, when I mentioned the gear, differences, I said 0 to 10 was 1, and 10 to 20 was second, all that. Well, I skipped a gear. When I did that back there, I went all the way up to 30 miles an hour in second gear, and then I immediately shifted into fourth. And when you learn how to drive a stick and you get better at it, you may want to skip gears all the time. I don't recommend that. Like I said, I only do it on certain occasions and certain situations. It's you know, when you get better at doing this and you get more skilled at doing this, it's second nature by this point for me, because I've been driving a stick since 2016. But as you know, when you're first starting out, I wouldn't recommend it. And I've covered this in videos as well. When you downshift, or maybe I haven't covered this, I can't actually remember. If you're like right now, I'm in 5th gear. It's the highest gear I can go to in this vehicle. If I were to downshift right now, I'm doing 60 miles an hour. I would not recommend downshifting from that speed into 4th gear, because every vehicle is different. But in this car, it's a 4-cylinder, 2.3 liter engine. It's not that it would be. I repeated myself. Not that you can't do it, but from the lowest I want to be, or I should say the highest I'd ever want to be if I'm shifting into 4th gear, is about 50 to 55 miles an hour. A lot of people are like, well, it's only a 5 mile an hour difference from 55 to 60. Yeah, but that 5 miles an hour might be the difference between, you know, something bad happening and you keeping your car or vehicle, whatever you have. As soon as I get close to where I'm going, I am going to downshift though. Somebody asked me in my first stick shift video ever, it was only like 3 or 4 minutes long, and they asked me on one of those social media platforms, they said, you know, do you have to downshift to stop? No. As you saw in this video, when I was in the city, I was putting the car in neutral and hitting the brake, or I could have, you know, had the car in gear and hit the brake and the transmission or the clutch pedal simultaneously. But no, downshifting is just, in my opinion, if you're in a manual vehicle, a stick shift vehicle, the most advanced way of slowing down and stopping is by downshifting. Other people may may disagree with that statement, but that's, like I said, that's my opinion. You can disagree with it all you want. I do apologize about not talking much, but I am driving. The reason I said it's different, the gear, in terms of the gears in this vehicle, on average, normally it's what I mentioned earlier, where it was 0 to 10 for first gear and 10 to 20 for second gear and all that. The reason I said it's different is because it depends on the size of the engine. I had a 02 Civic. Well, first I'm going to compare this car. This car has, like I said, it's a 4-cylinder, 2.3 liter engine. I had a 99 Honda Accord that was a 2.3 liter engine and 4-cylinder, 5-speed, and it was virtually identical to the way this one drives and where I can shift and everything, certain gears and their speeds. But I had a 1.9 liter Honda Civic that was different. It was, you know, the speeds and different gears were different. Wasn't by much, because it wasn't much smaller, but it was still smaller, so it was different. Whereas, you know, a 5-liter engine or 4-liter engine or something like that or whatever, something that's bigger than a 2.3 will be different. The speeds and the different gear ratios will be different depending on the size of the engine. The reason I know that is I won't say what it was, but I test drove a bigger engine last year with a friend of mine, and it was a lot different. I'm in neutral now because I'm coasting to a slower speed so I can downshift into fourth. And actually, I apologize, I won't be able to downshift at this point because there's a car right behind me and I don't want them to rear end me. Okay, I'll get going up to third gear here. There's no vehicles behind me. Third gear right now, almost a little bit between 25 and 30 miles an hour. Downshift into second gear. Car slows down by itself. And this is something I tried to cover in yesterday's video, but as I said, that video was not uploadable. Long story. But darn it, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I especially like being able to drive a stick shift in the winter months when it's snow and ice on the ground, because it's not as concerning. And an automatic, all you can do is hit the brake. Well, on snow and ice, you can, if you hit the brake and you don't do it correctly, you can go all, spin out, or whatever term you want to use. You can do that in a stick shift, but it's ever since I learned how to drive a stick shift, it's easier to slow down in the winter when there's snow and ice on the ground, because if I have to, I can just downshift and the car will slow down. I won't have to hit the brake. There's a vehicle in my path, so I'm gonna have to turn around. Okay. It looks like I'm gonna have to back up very carefully, because just kind of trying to get the right angle. Okay, video's gonna stop soon. And to everyone who's subscribed to my channel, actually I was at 214 subscribers, but then I went down to 213. Somebody didn't like my content, or maybe I didn't post the right stuff, or what have you. But to anyone who watched this video, thank you very, very much for your time. I hope I helped out. I will talk to everyone very soon.